All right, welcome to Track Limits Live. I think I got it fixed. I don't really know. Is it gonna fall? Maybe. That's fine. Tried to go live on my phone, but my phone decided to not record anything. So we are now live. If you can hear me, hopefully on desktop, on my computer, actually in my sim rig because my camera wouldn't work. So now I got to reshare this with my story. Oh goodness. Okay, let's try to get this solved. Let's try to get this fixed. All right, welcome into Track Limits Live. Sorry for the delay. The other live, I probably need to go in and delete because that is not relevant anymore. Yep, let me go and delete that one. And I need to get this shared with everybody. So glad you are tuning in. Going to answer some live F1 questions here for you all once I get settled. I'm in the middle of a scram right now, trying to get everything going. So let me actually redo this. Yeah, it was kind of cringy. That's my story right there. Uh, New link live now. All right. I think this should work. Welcome to Track Limits Live. My name is John, the Motorsport Enthusiast. I am all over the place at the moment, but we are good. And it looks like we are live. Yep, we should be good to go. Perfect. All right, let me get this link, share this in my story. New link, new live. If you're watching this, let me know if you have any questions because I'm going to start answering some F1 questions once I get settled here, trying to share this with all of my followers. Let's see if I can do that. Where's the link button? There it is. All right. Live now. Perfect. All right. We are live. All right. Welcome to Track Limits with me, the Motorsport Enthusiast. That was crazy. So, tried to go live on mobile. It didn't work. And so I had to scram over here. That's why I'm 15 minutes late on my racing rig. If you cannot see by behind me and my freaking headset that's on, I'm gonna take a sip of lovely tea, calm down. But I got a lot of questions from people talking about new rules, talking about Lewis Hamilton, talking about the 2025 season and the 2026 season, talking about Lance Stroll because there's obviously a conversation, always a question about Lance Stroll as well. So excited to hear what you all think. But I'm curious right now before I start answering some of those questions. Before I list off some of those questions, do you have any questions that are anybody who's watching live? Does anybody have any questions? Because if you do, that would be fantastic. Also, I want to know if you can hear me. If somebody could drop that in the chat just to make sure I'm not talking to myself. Because I can see my mic working and it sounds like it's working okay, but let me know in the chat. All right. Let me get to my questions while I figure this out. Do, 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 do. All right, got my questions lined up here. Let me go to my archive. The Formula One season is approaching. We have testing coming up next month, which is going to be exciting to watch, exciting to see. And yeah, let's just go right into some of these questions. Let me see what we got here. If I can actually find the actual questions. Sorry for all the chaos on this live stream, but we're going to get it going here in a second. Let me ask you first, totally F1 aside, did anybody watch the Rolex 24? If so, what did you think about it? You did not watch the Rolex 24, Chad? Why is that? Still looking for my questions, by the way. Sleep. Sleep is good. Sleep is good. I literally screenshotted the questions. But all right. Yep, still can't find these questions. I only watched 18 hours, but I loved it. So you weren't there though, right, MJ? You were watching it on TV. I did watch quite a few hours of the 24. Oh yeah, no, there was a lot of great cars that got taken out. Cadillac got taken out. I mean, the field was stacked, and it was unfortunate. It was unfortunate that those cars got taken out. Um, I was impressed though with a lot of young talent. I mean, you have Zilich, who's experienced, but the talent unmatched. I mean, we had a great field, but I did get updates from the motorsport. You did, Chad. If you tell my story, I was watching every single hour, which was I actually just put a YouTube video on the Motorsport Enthusiast channel. If that was a good idea or not, watching all 24 hours, I recommend it actually, which is great. Oh, I found my questions. Look at that. Watching from start to finish, or watching really through the night, um, it was hard, especially when it got to like the 4 o'clock, the 5 o'clock hour. I had two coffees, and I waited until about 12 to 1 o'clock to have that first one, really the midway point, and then I had my second one at like 6 or 7, or actually it was between 5 and 7. And let me tell you, I had to literally go to Starbucks, get a venti pike place, which I say this in the video, but has like 400 milligrams of caffeine just to keep me up because I was exhausted. And then I had to stay up. I didn't want to go to sleep because I was going to mess up my sleep cycle. Staying up until like 9 or 10 o'clock that same night, so I guess last night, was not easy at all. Um, but yeah, no, the Rolex was great. I was impressed. The finish was great, having three classes with under 2 seconds of difference between first and second. Um, LMP2 drove away 44 plus second gap at one point towards the end, but it was a great race to watch. Great race to watch. All right, so I'm going to start off this. I have 6 questions here, and I'm going to start off with one from Big Dev 25. Reached out to me on Instagram. I appreciate it, Big Dev. Uh, and Jesse Binkley and I are planning on going next year. It's a great event, dude. It's a great event. We also need to talk about Indy, by the way. Um, from Big Dev 25, do I have any F1 Legos? Well, thanks to Chad. Yes, I do. As a Christmas gift, homeboy got me the Ayrton Senna McLaren. And yes, Chad, I'm giving you a shout out directly here. This was actually really cool to build. It's really fun. The suspension's really cool. The wheels actually turn. You can see that there. It's such a cool build. Has the specs of the car right there, and it's a beautiful car. It took me about 2 hours, just under 2 hours to build. I was trying to beat a time. Literally, it was like, if you can finish this in under 2 hours, which I finished in like an hour 57, you're considered an expert. I don't remember the last time. Rookie numbers? Okay, Chad, how long did it take you to build this? Because I was like going. But yes, I do have. This is my only one. I'm going to try not to destroy it as I step out of my rig after the live. But yes, I do have F1 Legos. I think they're great. On the topic of F1 Legos, I think that the new Lego release that they just had is going to be huge, especially for the younger fans that are growing up with it as kids. Um, and I think that it's going to be a popular one as a fire truck goes by. Hopefully, everybody's okay. But the collaboration's amazing. I saw some actually at Barnes and Noble, and I'm very tempted to get them. Tempted to do a live build. That might actually be an additional episode of Track Limits. But yes, I do. So as a avid, I'm gonna say avid, as a Lego builder, I had to get that. So that was my first question that I got. Second question, I didn't get any questions from Chad, unfortunately. Wanted to answer those. Fire truck. Let me. I would hope she didn't fall, Chad. I would be sad. Um, your mom's great. Um, Either way, yeah, that was a weird comment, Chad. Let's move on. Hope she's okay. Let's move on. One question is from Let's go with Metalbot 2510. He asked me a question in the last one. Weird. Have you met me? Yes, I have met you. And if anybody's watched any of our content, they understand who you are. And yes, you are weird. I love you, buddy. Who's going to drive for Cadillac in 2026? We've had that question actually in the last live I did on my channel. But driving in 2026 with the new car, the new regulations, I have a couple people in mind. Now, I think that there are some people that are wanting, I'm going to bring them up, going to want Logan Sargent back in. But you also have some drivers that are existing cars that could be looking to get into Formula One. Um, but who's going to drive for them? It's really up in the air. I really don't know. Um, I think that there's a lot of great talent all across the board. I think there's a lot of talent from IndyCar that could be promoted. Now, obviously, you have Colton Herta just competed in the 24. I don't think he goes anywhere. I don't think of any. I don't think Cadillac goes anywhere really. In IndyCar, I think it's going to be somebody, truthfully, that we don't expect. Now, who that could be, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm curious who, realistically, who do you want in the Cadillac in 2026? Maybe cool to see Logan. People want Danny Rick too, but that ship is passed. Um, I'm curious who do you want in the Cadillac? The plane goes by. Yeah, this rig is Danny Rick would have been the most marketable option, but he says, yeah, he basically has said he's done. I mean, he's not. Yeah, he's done. Um, I think Danny Rick would be an insane marketing opportunity, and I think it would make a lot of sense. But again, that ship has sailed, unfortunately. So, I mean, here's the most realistic situation. Um, yeah, that's yeah. This is what I was kind of getting at. Is like recent F1 drivers, MJ, that have moved on, or drivers that might get booted in the 2025 season, is where I think this could go. K Mag did a fantastic job in the GTPs this past weekend, racing for BMW, and he's still got it. Obviously, I mean, he was in Formula One last season, so like he still got it. K Mag would be great. I think Kevin Magnussen in the Cadillac would be an awesome option, but I mean, looking at where these drivers are going to go in 26, looking at some of the rookies. Hold on, I'm going to turn off my Discord notifications because these are bothering me. Looking at some of the rookies, Bortoletto, you got Andrea Kimi Antonelli, excuse me, and you have all these different drivers that if they don't perform well, could they get the early boot and then get picked back up at 26? Do you know an engine supplier that could pay factor into? Um, well, if it would since they are supplied by Ferrari, I believe, right? Hold on, I'm like deleting Discord off of my computer because these notifications are absolutely bonkers and are covering up the chat. Actually, I'm just gonna move you. I'm just gonna move you all over a little bit so I can see these. Um, there we go. That'll work. Um, I believe, and quote me if I'm wrong, but I believe Ferrari is going to supply the motors for Cadillac until Ford comes in. Is that right? If I'm recalling correctly, I haven't seen anything change. So going back to Haas and Kevin Magnussen, since Ferrari supplies Haas, that would make a lot of sense. So that could be a big factor. I think it will be a big factor into who they choose over in Cadillac. So I think it'd be great if now talking about who I want it to be. I would love to see an IndyCar driver go over there. Could it be Colton Herta? Could it be somebody else that might be nearing their, younger driver in IndyCar move over, or are they going to kind of go with the existing driver route? That's the question. But uh, I don't think so at the current moment. I mean, like they are stacked up with. I don't have anywhere to put this now. They are stacked up with drivers on the IndyCar side. So no, I mean it's gonna be it's gonna be, I think, somebody that we don't expect. Could it be a Kevin Magnussen? See how he does over in, I believe, the European Le Mans series. So um, that'll be fun to watch. I think that there is going to be a driver from either the 2024 season that isn't there, or a driver from the 2025 that gets booted. That's my personal thought. So awesome. Um, One topic that I do want to talk about, and I'm going to kind of spin this question a little bit. Um, and I know what the question is in reference to, but why does F1 make so many dumb rules that only hurt them? And I feel like that question is stemmed primarily at the topic of the censorship. And that is one topic that I think is huge. If they do well, I'd try to get Yuki. He's going to waste. Yuki could be a great option. I think Yuki in a new car, he'll be fired up. I think it could be a good option for him since he's still young. Um, I think it's possible. I think it's possible. And that's where I'm thinking like some of these drivers that are going into their last year, or drivers that are coming into F1. I mean, maybe even Colapinto. I mean, I know that name's been thrown around. I'm a big, big supporter of Colapinto. Could he potentially make that huge move over to Cadillac in 26? I think it could be a good option. Looking at, though, going back to the rules update, and I know everybody's talking about it. It's been buzzing around the Formula One world the last, since it's been dropped, really, but it's talked about every single day. I see it in threads, I see it in posts. But the censorship, and if you didn't read it, it is pretty severe. It really reads that if you essentially curse in any way, um, and from what I've heard and read, it doesn't matter when. It doesn't matter if it's an interview. It doesn't matter if it's across the radio. It's anytime that you will get fined. You could get fined starting from the lower series, and this is all of, from what it sounds like, all of the FIA events, Formula One events multiplied by 4 times. The first offense is a €10,000 fine, so 40,000 um, for that first offense. Second offense, I believe, is a fine additionally and suspension. And then the third is a fine, suspension, and loss of championship points. And also, I know there are mentions to anything political or religious as well. Any statements on that too is some of the same, some of the harsh penalties, and some of the fines are excessive of $100,000 once, or 100,000 euros once you get to that third offense. So it's it's a big thing right now, and from a spectator's perspective, I don't know how you can avoid it. Um, John making one trip to downtown Nashville with already. Oh, Chad, I if if the FIA's new rules applied to me when I'm driving, I think I'd be suspended indefinitely in the first 5 minutes of driving. But that's just Nashville traffic. It's not me. Kidding. It's a mix of both. Anyways, yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's difficult because how do you not have? I mean, how people? It happens everywhere. People curse all the time, and if something crazy happens, you're going to be like, "Oh shit!" Like it's just going to slip out. So how? My question is, hope those sports books work out. Thanks. Um, the question is, how censored are they going to make this? Is it any kind of curse word? Are we talking like damn in hell? Or is it the more, upper echelon of the worst ones? That's the question. Is it truly only going to be maybe in public settings, or is it behind the wheel of radios? Because if this is the case, Yuki's gone in like a practice session. So like I don't know what's gonna happen to Yuki. We've heard, George get riled up. We've heard a lot of drivers get riled up. I think it's going to be tough. And I'm going to throw it back to everybody who's watching. And if you're not watching live, would love to get your thoughts in the next one. But what do you think about the rules around the cursing? Because they want to. They say, I would have to look at the verbiage again, but it was something about the morale of Formula One and what Formula One stands for. They don't want anything that will essentially taint that, and they think that these curse words and that the any sort of affiliation from a political religious standpoint is going to sway from the FIA's beliefs or statements or view how it's viewed, how the FIA and Formula One is viewed. So I'm curious, what do you think about it? I mean, I'm kind of throwing this out to anybody really because I'm kind of shocked that it's gotten to this point. So that's it says I have to pull up the actual statement because there's an image that's been floating around. Um, I believe it does. It is, I believe, if in anything in correlated to that. So I would believe that something along those lines, Thorin would be in line with that. Correct. Um, I want to read directly from this because I know there's images flying out all over the place. Let's see. So to answer your question, it's both. So this is the code, or this is the verbiage. It says, "quote Any words, deeds, or writings that have caused moral injury or loss to the FIA, its bodies, its members, or its executive officers, and more generally on the interest of motorsport and on the values defined or defended, excuse me, by the FIA." That is the question. Or that is the statement there. I'm trying to find s- uh, the actual statement. I will agree, MJ. I'm right there with you. Um, I'm gonna have to go to Reddit for this one, to find that image because I thought I screenshotted it. I do think that it'll hurt, and that's in that you make a great point. Lewis doesn't care. Um, Lewis doesn't care, but will that still will the FIA and will Formula One have preferential treatment for Lewis because it's Lewis? That's the big question. And I don't know. I think it's pure speculation at this point, but for let's compare Yuki to Lewis in the situations, like how are you going to do this? Like, are you going to say what Yuki does? Because we all know he curses. We all know Lewis speaks out on what he believes in. And are you going to fine these drivers and penalize these drivers for that? Just based on who they are. Because what if Lance Stroll had these? Well, if Lance Stroll had it, his dad might help him. That's a joke. But if it was what's another random? Let's say Carlos Sainz, or I mean George Russell. Like, would they treat those drivers the same way as they would treat Lewis? That's the big question. Hot take here, Chad. F1 has been turning fans away since Drive to Survive started. I think you are correct when it comes to the traditional fan, uh, based off of what I have seen and through comments. Do I think it's valid? No. I don't think a TV show and a docu series or a movie should turn fans away. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And MG, I think these new rules are going to start turning away fans. I want to talk about that too. I can see that it could, and the repercussions of this could. Does this extend over into Drive to Survive? Because if it extends over into Drive to Survive, I mean, you're losing your drama appeal right there in that element. Obviously, you can create it, you can manufacture it like they do. But if you're going to take away that rawness, like the Christian Horner quote, change your fucking car. Like, I mean, we all know that. That's been a meme forever. That's been a clip forever. It's been quoted a million times on t-shirts. And so, like, is that something that is going to potentially hurt the sport? It's a very valid question. It really is. It's a very valid statement. I'm trying to find exactly what the verbiage said because it is while it's confusing for me. Steiner alone made that show bigger because oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. Gunther Steiner literally was one of our favorite characters. It's one of my favorite characters. I think it's one of everybody's favorite personalities in the show. And just to I found the actual language. Somebody broke it down into outside of the language of what it actually reads. But basically, around swearing, in a worst case scenario with three separate instances of swearing, 40,000 euros is situation number one. 80,000 euros is number two, and 120,000 is number three. Those are the three levels with a 1 month ban and a points deduction. So, like, it's just crazy. I think the rule is taking away one of the main things draw people to F1, and that's personal. I think you're correct. Chad, I think you are exactly right. I think this is going to, if it does apply to everything that you say or do, Drive to Survive in its nature will not be as good. Now, it may not. They may, you know, be like, you know what, say whatever you want. But if you're on a track, if you're at the track, if you're getting interviewed by Sky Sports, if you're in the car, you can't say this because they didn't specifically say anything around, from what I've read, outside of the sport, but I could see where they could probably interpret it to make it any involvement, like literally any word that you say, it will definitely hurt Drive to Survive. I really do. I think it's a big discussion. I really think it is, because if it really seems like it is a, it seems like they're almost treating the drivers as children in a sense, because of this. Like, you can't do that, you can't do this. When in actuality, does that actually hurt the sport, or is that a part of the nature of one humans and of drivers? I mean, these drivers. I saw a clip with Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay hates it, of course, because I mean, obviously Gordon Ramsay would hate it. Just listen to him talk. But he said that these drivers are pulling three, four, five Gs at any given time. If they slip up, are you really going to fine them 10,000 euros or 40,000 euros at that point? I guess I understand being professional in front of the microphone at a press conference, but you get these guys on the car in a high pressure environment, it's going to happen. 100% it's going to happen. It's hard not to. I mean, how are you going to? Um, I'm trying to see if I've gotten any more questions. I haven't. Um, how are you going to put it on these drivers to have this happen? I mean, and enforce it. This will lose F1 their casual fans quickly. If Drive to Survive suffers, the sport will suffer as well. It's a corny drama making show. And granted, it is drama. It is, but it's drawing in fans that they haven't seen before. And I think that it is going to be something that I'm very curious to see how the next season of Drive to Survive comes out, what that's going to look like. I don't know if they're going to do any editing to this current season. I'm very curious. I'm going to watch it very intensely. I may actually go back and rewatch the 2024 season or 2023 season and see and literally count how many curse words are in it and compare that to 24. That actually be an interesting. I may actually make a video on that. One more time for the people in the back. um, but yes, I do think that this could have repercussions that they may not expected. The thing is this is for all FIA events. This is for all FIA sanctioned races. This is not just Formula One. That's why the code reads 10,000 euros, and I think that's for the bottom tier. I believe, and don't quote me on this. I know Formula One is 100% for certain 4 times the fine amount. I think as you go down like F2, I think F2 is 2 or 3 times. F3 is the same. I believe, yes. I believe it is for all those events. So I mean, it's like, what in the world? Like, they are going to be racking in a lot of money for this. But we've been talking about this subject for a second, so um, I really want to see if I could find. I want to find the verbiage on this so we can talk about it, because I'm very, very shocked that they actually put this out. Um, F1 cursing regulations. Do, 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 do. Yeah, the swearing thing is absolutely crazy, though. That's the big one for me. I mean, it's human nature. It's human nature. Um, I wish I could find an image of the sporting code. So let's see. Reading an article currently. Um, Article 12.2.2.1.L of the ISC covers the area of any misconduct, which were the grounds under which Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc were investigated for using the word fucking an FIA press conference last season. Verstappen was hit with a community service punishment, which he served in Rwanda. Leclerc, who showed immediate remorse after he used the same word in the FIA press conference after the Mexican GP, was given a €10,000 fine, half of which was suspended. Um, so let's see. So here is a response. I'm going to read a response. I don't care if you're the Pope racing around the person. That's very true. Here's a response from the president of the FIA. On behalf of the directors and the chairman of the GPDA, on behalf of the Grand Prix drivers, it says, as is the case with every sport, competitors must abide by the referee's decision whether they agree with it or not. Also, that's another thing. You apparently can't question marshals anymore. I saw that quote coming out, or that statement coming out. This is how sport works. The drivers, our members, are no different and fully understand that. With regards to swearing, there is a difference between swearing intended to insult others and more casual swearing, such as you might use to describe bad weather or indeed an inanimate object, such as a Formula One car or driving situation. We urge. So does that is that a wait? Is that a quote? Oh, this is the article that's not doing this very much justice. Um, I found the actual words though. I found the actual signing. So I thought it was going to say something about the fact that if it's just casual versus at somebody, I could see where like that's kind of the thing. Like you don't want to be if it's like direct in a press conference. I think that might be a little bit different, but found the rules. But yes, Article 12.2.1.f of the ISE uh, for the FIA regulations for all of FIA's regulations. Any words, deeds, or writings that have caused moral injury or loss to the FIA, its bodies, its members, or its executive officers, and more generally on the interest of motorsport and the values defended by the FIA. That's the €10,000 offense or the €40,000 offense, with the 80,000 for the second punishment and 30,000 for the third. Now, going back to another statement, though, about the religious and political side, the general making this is 12.2.1.0. The general making and display of political, religious, and personal statements or comments, notably in violation of the general principle of neutrality promoted by the FIA under its statutes, unless previously approved in writing by the FIA or international competitions or by the relevant ASN for national competitions within their jurisdiction. It's a lot of big words. Yeah. So basically, you have to get written approval to make it says specifically the general making and display of political, religious, and personal statements, notably in violation of the general principle. Yeah. So you have to basically get it written. You got to ask. That violation is for Formula One drivers, €40,000 plus public apology and repudiation of comments. Fine may be suspended. 20,000 euro plus public apology with 1 month suspension, and then €30,000 plus public apology and repudiation of comments plus 1 month suspension plus deduction of championship points. Basically, if you get your third offense, you are screwed. I mean, you're done. So that was an interesting topic. That's a great question though, because I it has been buzzing all over the place. Um, Another question. Let's dive into the last one, or the not the last one. There's actually many more. Um, Are we in for a this is from, Adam Lucas. Are we in for a stale 2025 season in anticipation of 2026? I'm going to say no, primarily because you have these teams that have been investing into this specific car for so long that they want to get the most out of it now. The teams that are I'm agreeing with you, Chad. For the teams that may not have the same budget, they may not worry about the 2025 season with this current car because they haven't been able to perform well. They may be already getting ahead of the budget or getting ahead of the game here and trying to focus on what they can do in 2026. So I think that there might be in 2026 or 2025 there might be a bigger focus on the engine versus a bigger versus the aerodynamics because it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter in 2026. So I think now, well, I could counter that with on the flip side, they may try to test some things that may work on the car in 26, but since it's new regs, new car, I don't think it's really going to matter. Are we in for a stale season? Oh no. Oh no, no, no. You have enough people, new faces, and new places that it's going to be wild. With all the rookies we have, with Lewis going to Ferrari, with Carlos going to Williams, with the driver shakeup and only two teams having the same team as in 2024, which would be McLaren with Lando and Oscar, and you have oh my gosh, Lance and Alonso with Aston Martin. I think it's going to be a great 2025 season because I think you're going to see teams are going to want to maximize it. McLaren and Lando, Piastri, yes, have a car to give Max a real run. Same could be said about the Ferrari team. I agree, and this is a topic I want to talk about. Uh, I put out a thread the other day talking about uh, specifically Lewis Hamilton and him now being in Ferrari, and if he can perform. And I saw some kind of I saw mixed responses, and looking through threads, I've seen mixed responses here. Um, I think that Lewis Hamilton will for sure win a race in 2025, for sure. Uh, and I think that he could win more. Do I think he could win his eighth championship? That's a big assumption. That's a big statement to make. That's a big question to answer. Do I think it's as far fetched as people have perceived it to be? No. I mean, and here's why. Ferrari is on the cusp, like you just said, Thorin, of Red Bull and of McLaren. They're all fairly in the same ballpark. It's not one is extremely, one. It's not like what we saw a couple years ago. That's number one. Number two, it's Lewis Hamilton. If the car is competitive, you can never count him out. Bingo. You literally took the words out of my mouth. You cannot count a seven-time champion out. I mean, he has some of the most experience outside of Alonso in F1 right now. He's been driving in a Mercedes that has been getting better. He got to remember he won in 2024. He can read a car. He knows how to drive these cars and to drive anything he gets in. And the Ferraris are better than a Mercedes. So if you're putting a seven-time champ in a better car, if you consider Mercedes the fourth best car on the grid last season, just put it whether they were there, whether they won't, let's just put it there. I don't think they were at the same level of McLaren, Ferrari, and Red Bull. You take that driver who won races, put him in a car that is performing as well as a Red Bull or McLaren. I think there's that element too, but also he's reuniting with Fred Vasseur. They worked together previously, early in Lewis's career. So you have that chemistry that has never been really lost. It's being rekindled now. Lewis has the fourth highest odds to win the Formula One championship from a driver's perspective. Well, the only way he can win from the driver's perspective, either way, in 2025. I think that I could see it. I could see a path. Now, is he going to struggle? 100%. I do believe that there's going to be a point where he's going to be like, "What in the world is going on?" And I think that taking the testing that's happening in February, you have to take that with a grain of salt. I've seen a lot of fans saying that they're going to make their predictions solely based on that test. You can't do that. It's going to give you an idea, but you can't make your wholehearted prediction of how the cars are going to perform. Now, again, if you looking back at I think it was a 2023 season. It was either 22 or 23 when Lewis got into the car and it was all wrong. It's actually in one of the books that are about Formula One. He was the author was stating. I actually have it. It's not behind me. It's over there. He was stating that Lewis got in the car and you could tell from day one that something was wrong with it from a speed perspective, and we saw how that season went. Obviously, so Lewis winning in 2025 is on the table. Yeah, 2022. I couldn't remember when it was. It was either 22 or 23. But it's going back to the main question though. Are we in for a stale 2025? I don't think so. I really don't. I think it's going to be exciting also with the rookies too. And that's what I'm curious about. Who that's watching is who that is watching would say is the most anticipated rookie or the rookie you're looking to watch this upcoming season? Who you're looking forward to most seeing on the track this season because I'm excited to really. I'm not going to consider him a rookie. I really am curious to see how Lawson does with a true Red Bull. Obviously, he's not a rookie, but you have Bortoletto, you have Isaac Hajar, you have Kimmy Antonelli. So I'm curious, who are you excited for? And I'm missing one. Who am I missing? Um, I can't think of it off the top of my head. Either way, Jack. Yep, Jack and Ollie Behrman and Ollie Behrman. Yeah, that's that's who I was saying. I was like, there's a Ferrari driver that I'm missing, or a driver um who went in for a Ferrari. Yes, I Ollie is good, especially since he's driven a Ferrari product since Haas um, is going to be powered by Ferrari engines. I think that Ollie is great. I'm a huge fan of him. I think that he has great potential. I wish that Franco Colapinto was in the series. I wish he got a spot. I think he has great talent. Now Brazil was just horrendous for him. Um, is Haas back? I think Haas is on. It could be up for a great season in 2025. I really do. I really think Ollie could really battle up there. I mean, you saw how K Mag did and Hulk did this past season. I mean, they were stringing together a lot of good finishes towards the back half of the season. Um, so I think it's great. I'm curious, Chad. Chad, if you're still watching, who are you excited for? And while we wait for Chad's response, I also have heard that you know there could be some speculation that uh, you know Jack Doohan might be. There's speculation that there could be a couple rookies that are going to get the boot mid-season, early on, and I'm just like, I don't know where that's really coming from. That's a lot of that's pretty big. Um, Matthew said, "Wonder how Toyota's involvement with Haas will develop. They're killing it." Okay, so Toyota's involvement with Haas is I just lost my little tag is massive because of how they are doing in other motorsport. I think with what they're doing across the board, not even not even talk about the Rolex, but I mean across the board with what they're doing in NASCAR, what they're doing just in every single motorsport. I mean, I was that. Well, let me back up. I was thinking of something else. Toyota's development. I was thinking of Porsche. I don't know why I thought of Porsche there. It's been a long day. Overall, Toyota's development in every form of racing has been insane to see. I think that with what they have going on right now with that Toyota program, it's exciting to see how they're going to come back, quote unquote, come back into Formula One. I think it's going to be a big shock. I think Haas could really be in for something spectacular. Now, again, it's Haas, so you have to think about that where they finish in the points. Obviously, not getting as much allocation of budget, but obviously bringing on Toyota is great. On the phone, with my mom. Okay, so Chad's mom is okay. Chad's mom is good. He ended up calling her anyways. I'm always pumped to see Fernando, but I'm very intrigued to see Signs and how Williams does. Yes, Signs and Williams. I put out a prediction way early, way early, and I think you will see Williams on the podium in 2025. I think it'll be with Carlos. I also made the bold claim, and I'm going to stick by it because I want to stick to my word. I think that you could see a Williams just once, and it's going to be with Carlos, win a race. Now, are they going to dominate? No. Um, it yes, 100%. MJ, are they going to completely dominate? No. I think you may have to have like a double podium Alpine situation with Brazil. So I think it may be something along those lines. But when you look at Williams, when you look at what Carlos Sainz is bringing over a major partner with Ferrari Santander, when you have that sponsorship coming over, when you have a driver like Carlos coming over, it's going to bring that team from a mindset perspective, from a performance perspective, across the board. It's going to make Albon better. I think that this could be huge for Williams. Uh, Now, I don't want to get ahead of get ahead of this. I need to see progress early in the season, and I think the first couple races are really going to be your telltale signs of how well this team's going to do. Specifically with Carlos and with Alex, I think they could be in for a great season. I think it's going to be one of the best seasons we've had for Williams to date in the last I don't know how many freaking years that they've been doing very very poorly. Um, I think that it could be one where you see one of them probably Carlos on the podium and one of them with a win. Um, so I'm curious. I'm very I'm excited. I'm excited. I oh tell her I said hi, Chad. Thank you. Um, Also, this is going to go to 6:15 Central Time, 7:15 Eastern because we started 15 minutes late. But yes, I think Williams could be up for a great challenge this year, and I think this year you're going to see um, a lot of continuity when it comes to performance, just because of where we are. In 2025, you obviously have, like I said before, a lot of new drivers, a lot of drivers in a lot of different places. Every team has changed but two. You have new, engineers coming in. You have all the money that they put towards this car coming in. Uh, you have the schedule change a little bit, starting with Australia. I think that this year you're going to see even more of a leveling of the field, and I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some of these fourth, fifth tier teams starting to battle with a McLaren or with a Ferrari or Red Bull. Now, I preface or I want to make a big asterisk here. You're going to have maybe something not go the exact way with one of those big three or four teams, but I think it is at this point in 2025 the most likely situation. On the flip side, you could have teams that are already focusing on 2026 that know they're not going to really compete very well in 2025 and just, for lack of a better term, shit the bed. So you could have that too. You could have teams taking, okay, this is a loss. We're going to focus on 2026 instead of 2025. But either way, I think it's going to be a great season. I'm very excited. I'm excited to see. Let's talk about the launch really quick. I think it's going to be similar to what we saw in 2022, where teams are saving up for 2026. Yeah, I mean, it's very likely. Now, I think one team that is gonna be swinging for the fences is Ferrari. And as a Ferrari fan, I'm a little worried going into 2026 because they want Lewis to win this championship so bad. They want it more than anything. They want it more than their espresso in the mornings. They want it more than anything. Name any Italian anything, they want it more than that. Um, they want it more than any prosciutto, mozzarella, anything. Um, yeah, I think it's going to be crazy to see how much Ferrari puts into this. Um, you Ferrari might lose, brother. You know how Ferrari is. Ah, dang it! I got fined again. Chad, keep on tallying me up, man. I need to figure out my tally. Um, and that's the other thing is could Ferrari go too far? Because we've seen Ferrari's strategy 2021, 22, 23 not be great. I mean, it wasn't great. 2024, I think was a much needed improvement. Um, oh, you're right, your three race ban at this point. A three race ban? So that means that is up to six. Is that on my sixth offense, Chad? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I think I'm about to be suspended. Track limits is suspended for three races. Well, Chad, come on, you're tracking this. Come on, FIA, what are you doing? You got to be. I got to hold you accountable. Um, yeah, literally. Um, I think it's going to be cool to see, though. I think that it's going to be a great season overall. So this kind of ties into one of the other questions with how well or how will Lewis Hamilton do in a Ferrari in 2025. I think he's going to perform. It's Lewis Hamilton. He and that actually let me state the question. That is from Adam. Adam, if you're watching this, thanks for always engaging, dude. You're awesome. Adam uh, Lemarize, I believe is how you pronounce your last name. Um, yes, Adam. I think that Lewis Hamilton will perform. I think he will win a race. I think he could win multiple races. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because it's easy to say, oh, seven-time champ. Yeah, he's going to come in and smoke the field. I don't think it's going to be that easy. I think he's in better equipment, so I think he'll be battling. I think he's more skilled than, um, I mean, come on, it's Lewis Hamilton on the Ferrari. He will win a few races. See that's what I don't want to do because as a Ferrari fan, I know it. You can expect the world, and then your engineers can completely just not pit you because they just can't make up their minds. Um, so yes, do I think he'll win a few races? Yes, and is he better than Carlos Sainz? Absolutely. Now it's not a matter of I think it's really well going back. I think it's a matter of how well he will be able to adapt to the Ferrari. Uh, now, having Fred is huge. I think that's a huge, huge point to make because Fred Vasseur knows him, knows his tendencies, and worked with him from a young age. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that combo is going to work. But I can guarantee you that first win is going to be epic. It is going to be epic. I'm very curious to see where that's going to come. But I think it's not out of the question. Or either Lewis Hamilton will win a few races, or the team will start losing in silver. Let's just hope he doesn't, or let's hope they don't mess up the strategy. And it's not many. There's not too many, kinks in the cod. I think it's going to be tough though. I think it's going to be tough to beat. I think he'll be tough to beat once he figures it out. Once he can overcome the hurdle of getting adjusted to it. But yeah, James, it is Lewis. It's good old Lewis Hamilton. I mean, I can't count him out. You can't count him out. Um, I think it's gonna be interesting if he can win the British GP. I mean, I think the fans are gonna absolutely explode. I think the fans are gonna go crazy for the first time that Lewis wins in a Ferrari, though. I think you're probably gonna see a lot more red naturally anywhere you go. Typically you're seeing you know the Lewis hats everywhere, but Lewis going over to Ferrari is gonna be massive. If Ferrari stops pulling strategy calls out of an Italians, so I'm just going to say this out loud because it's hilarious. Chad says, and I quote: "If Ferrari stops pulling strategy with a D calls out of an Italian's priest ass and makes good calls, I think it'll be an okay year for him." Uh, yes, I think if they can, you know, make good calls, it'll be a good year. That's all I'm saying. Leave it to Chad to always come up with something like this. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Our friend Hudson isn't here. Alonso, no. Alonso 2025 champ, no. Lance Stroll 2025 champ. That's actually another question that I'm gonna perfect tie-in. Speaking of Aston Martin, let's talk about Lance. How long does Lance stay in F1? Do you want my sarcastic answer or my realistic answer? I think that my sarcastic answer is I think well actually it's kind of they can actually be one of the same. I think he'll stay in Formula 1 forever. I mean, I think it's unless that Adrian Newey, which I think he already came out and said that the 2025 focus, I believe he said 2025 is going to be a bigger focus on engines versus aero. My dream Formula One team with Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, and Ferrari. So excited for yeah, Zachary, dude. I'm a This is a Charles Leclerc hat. Um, I actually prefer Char over Lewis, but it might they're my Formula One team too, and I'm stoked. I'm stoked to see. But Lance Stroll, it's that question. Like based off of stats, why is he still in F1? I mean, I know we all joke like, okay, it's because his dad has the money and he owns the team, and that could very well be the reason why. But I really want to like genuinely get down to what it actually could be because yeah, I mean, his results aren't there. Now is the car there? No, the car's not there either. So that's the other thing. Is Adrian Newey going to be Aston Martin's savior? I don't know. It's hard to count Adrian Newey out, but when you have Lance Stroll in the seat, it raises the question: do I think Fernando is going to perform much better than Lance? Absolutely. I mean, you saw what happened a couple years ago when Aston Martin had that great start. I think they could be up there. Um, Helmut Marko is going to be too busy smearing. uh, no, Newey. I was like, what? Uh, Chair. Interesting. Oh, that's Hudson. Hudson, what's going on? You tuned in the last 7 minutes. Um, I already answered your question, by the way. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's Lance in F1 is something that I have from a completely unbiased perspective questioned because the stats aren't there. Um, and could is he filling a seat that somebody else could take? Possibly. It's very well could be. Sorry, I was out at dinner with the roommates. All good, dude. All good. Hope you had a good dinner. That's actually what I'm gonna do after this. Eat some dinner. So I think when you have, I want to make this full screen again. When you have Lance, and how long will he stay in F1? It's hard to say he will be out anytime soon. Um, I think that they're, of course, literally got a Discord notification right as I move this. Um, Chad says Lance will stay in F1 for as long as his dad. I genuinely think that's true. I really believe it's true. And Lawrence isn't like super old either. Um, or yeah, Lawrence isn't super old. So I think Stroll will be out at the end of the year. Honestly, really, okay. I'm going to throw this back. Why do you think Stroll's going to be out at the end of the year? As you do that, I'm going to look up something about Lance. Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't want to speak incorrectly. Uh, Contract. He has his contract for 2025 and beyond, without a specified end date given. I mean, Lawrence is up there, but at the same time, he isn't that old. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, and that's the thing is, I think Lawrence I- has has the money to make Aston Martin good. Is his son the answer? From the pure numbers perspectives, I haven't seen it, and I don't think you can argue that. I think it's um, now is the car there either? No, the car's not there either. But with bringing Adrian Newey in, are they going to be Aston Martin's savior? I think he'd help. Absolutely, it's Adrian Newey. I mean, look what he's done. He's probably one of the most decorated individuals and names in Formula One history, outside of any driver. So I think it's very much. I'm very curious to see how Lance is going to do this season. What I was looking up was that the contract. So his contract does state 2025 and beyond without a specified end date. People are really seeing. People are This comment's just really messed up. People are really seeing just how bad Stroll really is. It's to the point that its dad can't really hide it anymore. I don't know how long that smart will keep Lance. Well, here's the thing. He's in for 25 and beyond. So 2025 he'll be there. 2026 it's up in question. Do you think or I'm going to answer your question, Zach, in a second. Lance is single-handedly dragging Aston Martin out of the best of the rest contention. Yes, I think he could be. Um, is Aston what it was a couple years ago? No, I think they haven't gone really in the right direction from a team perspective. But Adrian Newey's huge. It's hard not to think about Adrian Newey in this. Do you think Ferrari can beat Red Bull on certain tracks like Monaco or Vegas? Well, given that Char won at Monaco, yes. Vegas, yes. I think they both can win. I think Ferraris can win at both of those tracks. I think it's going to be difficult with the straight line speed that Red Bull has with that long Vegas strip straightaway. Um, I think it's going to be tough. I think that Lewis bringing over some knowledge will help as well. I do know that Ferrari has been bringing on newer partners as of late. Obviously, HP, IBM was cited on the back of some of the cars as well in the test in Maranello, or in Furiano, excuse me. No, it was from Maranello, yeah. Um, so yes, I think they can beat them. Red Bull, dose not to care about the contracts. Uh, oh wait, that's I've missed a complete quote. Well, I mean, Checo signed a 2-year contract and was bought out, and Danny Rick was signed and then dropped. So anything is possible with signs. With signs or with Stroll? Checo was underperforming like crazy, and so was Danny Rick. Like it's, it, it, sucks, but it's true. Um, And tying back over to talking about these drivers, I think that the banter around these drivers and people sticking up for the drivers is a point that I made to earlier, Hudson, about people care about these drivers so much that they're going to defend their driver no matter what because of things like Drive to Survive, because of the personality of the driver. I'll defend Charles Leclerc till I die for a multitude of reasons. Um, and so I think that it's good for the sport. Tying this over to the cursing, I think it could derail some of that. Speaking of Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari, how many races do you think he could win if the car is decent and Ferrari doesn't mess up the strategy? Um, Really quick, I'm going to answer Dark Robin. Yes, he did bring a lot of money because it was Danny Rick. Um, how many can they win? So I'm trying to not be biased here. I'm have to go back and look. I would have to go back and see Lewis Hamilton's results for 2024 and see what happened, um, and where they finish in comparison to Ferrari. I think I think 3 or 4 races is not far fetched, um, which is a 6. 4 races would be a sixth of the the schedule. So I think 3 or 4 races is not out of the question. I really don't want to get ahead of myself here. Um, but let's say, Lewis has 4, Shar has 4, Lando has 3, Oscar has a couple, Max has 6. Um, you're tallying up. I mean, this is a great championship battle that's going to brew. I think it could really come down to the strategy for Ferrari if they can execute. I think the car's there. I genuinely believe the car's there. It's going to come out of the strategy. See, Lewis could win at least 5 races, but them not messing up the strategy. Yeah, exactly. Chad, yeah, Daniel had a great personality. He does. Here's a big thing. I'm going to make this completely. I'm going to tie this over into NASCAR. I know it's about Formula One, but I will, Chad. But looking at Danny Rick, I think that he could, um, if they wanted to, could bring a lot of eyeballs to either IndyCar or NASCAR just because of his name. I mean, look at what perfect example. Look at what RCR is doing with Casey Kane at Rockingham. If you're not, if you have no clue what I'm talking about, um, a veteran driver, a fan favorite, Casey Kane in the NASCAR Cup Series is coming back racing for Richard Childress Racing. If you know Richard Childress Racing, that was Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s. Yeah, Dale Earnhardt, the team he drove under. Um, they're bringing back that driver for the 2025 race out of Rockingham. There's a lot of OEPs, which are now an open provisional spot. So a driver like Danny Rick could come in and race. It'd be cool to see Danny Rick race at Coda or Danny Rick race in Mexico just for that tie to Formula One and going to be in a car again on a premier level in another motorsport. Um, so I'm texting, by the way. Chat says hi. I texted. Oh, she replied. Look at that. I didn't even see that. Do you think Indy drivers like Hamilton might compete in IndyCar, like Indy 500? Wait, back this up. Do you think drivers like Hamilton might compete in IndyCar? Yes. Oh, 100%. I think that you are going to see Lewis Hamilton if he eventually gets his championship, he could easily go race in the Indy 500. Absolutely, teams would want him. He may even entertain racing in NASCAR. If you remember, he drove Tony Stewart's car in a complete private test, but they flopped. I think you could see Lewis make an appearance, maybe and I would think a road course. Or maybe the Daytona 500, but make an appearance at a Coda or at a Watkins Glen or at a street race if they keep going to Chicago, Sonoma. You have all those races. Because I mean, Lewis Hamilton's a 7-time champ, so he has a skill to win a few races. Absolutely, I think Lewis Hamilton will win at least 4 or more. NASCAR over Formula One, Chad. I knew you were going to say that. Let Danny Rick drive at Coda in the Cup Series YOLO. Yes, I'm here for it. I think we need to sign a petition, or I'll reach out to Danny Rick myself on IG and be like, "Hey, please race in Coda." Um, Correct, Chad. I'd like to see Danny go full time in the Cup Series. If I'm completely honest, it would be kind of cool. I think it'd be cool. I think you would have to see either a track house. I guess they could. They have another. Oh, I don't think they could because they have 3 charters plus the 91 car. You would have to see like an R. I think an RCR would be great. Now, um, with McDonald's gone from the Chicago Street Race, I think the Street Race is gone after this year. I'll let see Danny Rick race in NASCAR. How about this? And this is gonna. I think this is a great idea. If you're RCR and you know Danny Rick's ties to the number 3, kick Austin Dillon to the curb, put Danny Rick into 3. You know what that would do for the sport? You know what that would do? It would make a lot of people upset, but think about the ties. Think about, I mean, literally, Danny Rick drove the 3 at, I believe, Coda. Um, I mean, put Danny Rick in this car. I think that would be an amazing tie. But the issue is, Austin Dillon is Richard Childress' grandson, and there you go. That's the reason why it would not work. Uh, Austin Dillon's is a it's funny. Austin Dillon's is the Lance Stroll of NASCAR. Austin Dillon's grandfather is Richard Childress, who owns the team. Lance Stroll, his dad owns or is invested, basically controls Aston Martin. I'm seeing a tie here. I'm seeing a tie. Or not a tie. I'm seeing a tie as a connection. I think it's true. I think it's true. But Danny Rick to NASCAR, absolutely. I think that could be a great, great addition, and it'd bring eyeballs. Um, I know, like, I know MJ, you're an IndyCar fan and a Formula One fan trying to get into NASCAR, but I think the name across motorsport as a whole. I know you're primarily IndyCar though. Bringing in a name like that would be huge to a sport like to the Cup Series. Austin Cindric, Austin Dillon, Ty Gibbs, Cody Ware. Am I missing anyone else? Do you think Ferrari? Do you think Ferrari should compete in NASCAR? Have one charter, have Leclerc or Hamilton for full season. Okay, so now you're entering the topic of chart or OEMs, so the manufacturers, um, and Corey LaJoy. Yes. Well, Corey LaJoy basically is like, I'm just going to run. It said I read somewhere he started his own team. I need to look into that because I don't think he is. But answering the question of Ferrari and NASCAR, it's not the demographic. Number one, um, I do know that there are a lot of talks of McLaren, Aston Martin, um, going into IMSA, specifically into uh, the WeatherTech series as LMP or as in GTPs. So having those prototypes there. Um, do I see Ferrari ever going into NASCAR? No, because it's not the demographic. But on the topic of that, there is a talk about what that next manufacturer is going to look like with Chevrolet not having the Camaro because the Camaro is not in production anymore. Are they going to go to a GM based product like a Corvette? I think a Corvette or a Cadillac would be the best move. Um, I hope Corey can't start a team. What are they going to do? Fail? uh, this is turned into a NASCAR stream. It's racing adjacent. We're still talking about Formula One with Ferrari going into NASCAR. I hope Corey can't start a team. What are they going to do? Fail to qualify? Well, they're racing with Oh, he's racing in the '01 car. He's going to attempt for the 500. I forget the team name. He has, I think, it's some oil change. I think it's Quick 5. I can't remember. But but James, uh, really quick, yeah, take 5. Uh, James, make a point to you or keep Austin on with RCR with the 3rd charter and bring Danny in with the 3. I think it's going to be reversed. I think you bring or keep Austin into 3 because if that's really what they want to do, put Danny Rick into 33 because that's a car that they have. That's how they're fielding. They felt. Oh my gosh, who was it? MJ's gonna know. It's a supercar driver. Who is it that filled in? Um, Next track Limbus live stream name idea F1 and chill. Chad, that's wild, dude. Chad, we may have to end that because of that. This is not what this live stream is, buddy. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Chad. It is wild, isn't it? Who is the driver? He was a supercar driver. came over. Who was it that raced for RCR in Indianapolis? Who? Okay, I got to look this up. Well, my other chat is Motorsports and Chill. So, or my other episode, or my other live stream on my other channel, on my main channel. I got to look this up. I really do. RCR 33 car Indianapolis. Who was it? No, it wasn't Austin Hill. There was another supercar driver. Either way, going back to that, I think it's the last thing I'll okay. I'm using that next time I want to go to the bar. Hey girl, want a motorsports and chill? Okay, Chad, can you even get into a bar, buddy? Like I can you even get into a bar? I'm kidding. I love you. If you don't know, Chad and I do a podcast. We've been friends for a while, so I can joke like that. Other supercar drivers ran at Coda. Uh, yes, yeah, I can't remember who it was. It's not Colin Brown. I can't remember. Either way, though, putting Danny Rick in the 33 is what I would do if I were them. Um, in NASCAR, he'd bring a lot of eyeballs, it'd bring a lot of international fans, and this is the last thing I'll say to end the stream. Um, Was it Brody? Yeah, it was Brody. Yeah, it was Brody Kostecki. Yes, exactly. I couldn't remember his. I can't remember a name like Brody. This is coming from the guy who spent his bachelor party walking through a field after eating full. Bro, that barbecue was full, man. That go if you're ever in Austin, if you ever go to Coda, go to Jack Brown's. It's in. There's one just outside of downtown Austin. Best barbecue you're gonna have, and yes, we did walk through a field after eating barbecue. We had to walk it off, bro. We had to walk it off. Um, After we went in Dakota, or before we went to Dakota that day. The last thing I'll say, I think on this topic of Formula One, on the topic of motorsports as general, I would love to see, and I think you're seeing this where other motorsports are starting to get recognized. Uh, Simply because of the drivers that they're getting into the series. So, for example, you have Elio Castroneves, IndyCar driver. Obviously, he's going to be attempting the Indy 500 or the Daytona 500. You have Kyle Larson from NASCAR going to IndyCar racing in the Indy 500. You have all these drivers, obviously, that typically participate in the Rolex 24 or the 24-hour Le Mans, or like K-Mag going over and racing in a European Le Mans series. I think you're seeing where there's almost a unification of motorsport because of how fans have gone and explored other races because their driver and the personality behind that driver is racing in IMSA or racing in the Cup Series. Larson might do an F1 test session this year. It's been talks with Zach Brown. See, that's that's an interesting topic too. I'll cover that on the next track limit episode. But could we see a Larson? I literally learned IndyCar exists because of Pato, reserve driver from McLaren. Exactly. That's a perfect example, MJ. That is literally what it is. Chad, that is you don't need to talk. We're definitely going to end this because that's not we're going to talk about. Well, I could expose you on a chat, but I'm not going to. I love you, Chad. By the way, I love you, Chad. But yes, you're right, MJ. I think it's going to be more situations like that. Um, no, they don't, Chad. The podcast will literally be down to one host, and it's going to be me. It's not going to be you. Um, and I love you again. I'm joking. I think that you could have a unification of motorsport with the type of drivers we've seen, and I'm excited to see it. Um, and so I'm going to ban Chad from all future ATYL Media Track Limit episodes and anything else I put out. Boom. We do have a podcast that we're recording this Wednesday, so I'll just drop it there. But I'll just show up myself. Either way, we've gone an hour 15. We're 15 over. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to ATYL Media for all the action that's going on here. I'm going to be putting out a lot more episodes on track limits. I'm probably going to do a lot more lives because this was fun. This is actually a good time. If you haven't already, I know a lot of the people in here, like MJ, you have Hudson, you have Chad. You know, follow me on the motorsport enthusiast side of things. You could reach out and follow me on any of those channels as well. on YouTube, The Motorsport Enthusiast. So thank you all again. Been an awesome chat. Love chatting with everybody. I'm gonna go eat some dinner, and we have reached our track limits here on Track Limits. I'll catch you next time. Chad, I've learned. Sophia with the message at the end. See ya.